Hey there, I'm Lee, the Southern Storyteller. So welcome to my channel, and here's the purpose of this channel. Here's what I want to do. This is a storytelling channel. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not here to sway you. I'm not here to influence you. I'm not here to convince you about anything, really. I'm just here to tell some stories because I love storytelling. So for now, just sit back, relax, grab a glass of iced tea, listen to a story. Listen to 2 stories. Listen to several stories. I'm going to post these as often as I can. There'll be stories about growing up in Nashville and the adventures I had as a kid and what some of my crazy relatives did or what my mom had to go through raising a couple of boys by herself. And if you like it, you know what to do. And let your friends and family know that, hey, there's this old crazy guy on YouTube telling stories. You should check him out. Thanks. I'm on my friend's farm in South Carolina. It's kind of a beautiful place. Kind of growed up, lots of woods. Really nice and peaceful. Made me think about a time when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I grew up in a little town just north of Nashville called Joelton. Joelton's a sleepy little place. Most people in Nashville back then didn't even know it existed, but that's okay. It's the kind of place where everybody knew everybody else. That's because there's only about 50 families that lived there, and they all were related to each other, but that's okay. It was the kind of place where on a Saturday afternoon you got in the old rusty pickup truck and you drove down to the Chevron station to get bait, 6-pack of RC Colas and a box of moon pies, and you headed off to the lake to go fishing. Had a kind of a reputation around as being a place where wild things kind of happened. Now, when I was growing up there, Nashville was going through a desegregation of their schools. So they built all these big, fancy, shiny new high schools all over the place. And they would bring kids from the country down into the city, and they'd bring kids from the city up closer to the country, and they'd put us all together in one building. And I guess that was good. It brought me together with some guys that I probably never would have met otherwise. A couple of brothers. I'm going to call them Jimmy and Roger because I don't really have permission to use their names. But they were African American and I was white. Still am. But I played drums, and Jimmy, well, he was a wicked guitar player. He was left-handed like Jimi Hendrix, hence the nickname Jimmy. And his brother Roger was a bass player, and man, that guy could thump a bass like you wouldn't believe. He was so good and so talented. So we decided one day we were going to get together at my house and play a little music. So they didn't drive, so I had to go down and get them. So I drove down to Bordeaux, where they were from, not France. Bordeaux, little suburb outside of Nashville, but still part of the inner city. So I drove down there and got them, and I drove them up to our house up in Joelton. Now, you got to remember, or you got to think about, you won't remember, I remember, but what you need to think about or keep in mind is that this was in the early 80s, and we weren't too far from the 1968 civil rights stuff. So black folks and white folks were having a hard time coming together, or not so much. Those of us at the school, we came together okay. But the older folks were, still a little timid about it. So, the African American moms and dads would tell their kids, don't go up to Joelton, that's where the KKK is from. And so Roger and Jimmy were naturally a little bit timid about coming up to my house to play music because of the stories they had heard from their parents. But I talked them into it, and I went down and got them and drove them up. And as we were pulling down the driveway, we lived way back off the road. And as I was pulling up down the driveway, Roger says from the back seat, "Hey man, y'all ever see any wild animals up here? You know, like rabbits and squirrels?" I thought he was joking. I really thought he had to seriously be joking. He couldn't possibly be nervous about rabbits and squirrels, but I should have known he wasn't joking, because he was legitimately afraid. So I should have caught on to that, but I didn't. So we got it to the house, and we got everything set up in the garage, and we played for a while, and played a lot of Van Halen, some Jimi Hendrix, some Rush, all those bands we liked. And we played at it, and we worked hard at it. We were good. We were pretty good. And got you know, a little bit after dark, and we decided, like teenage boys are, we were hungry and we needed pizza. We needed it soon. So Jimmy and I loaded up into my old Monte Carlo, and we headed out to the pizza place that was right next to the Chevron station. And we left Roger there with my brother and his friends. Well, that probably was a mistake, because while I was gone, my brother and his friends decided that it'd be kind of funny to play a joke on old Roger. So they got to telling him about Bigfoot. Now, just a week or so before that, well, no, I guess it was a little while before that, a couple months or a year or two, I don't know when it was, but my dad had reportedly seen Bigfoot near our house. Now, I wasn't sure if it was Dad's observational skills or if it was the whiskey talking, but one of those, he claimed to see Bigfoot. So my brother took that story and enhanced it up a little bit, and he and his buddies got Roger all worked up. They got him all worked up, and he was legitimately frightened. So he went into the house and was nervous. They said I wasn't there, but he was there with them. And my brother later told me that Roger was really, really scared, and he was panting, and he sat down on the couch there in the den and probably was praying a lot. And I don't know, I guess he got comfortable or exhaustion took over or something, but he decided to kick off his shoes and lay down on the couch and go to sleep. I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. Well, my brother and his buddies decided, yeah, let's take this to the next level. And so they went out and they started rummaging around, and they found an old green army blanket and an old deer antler that we had lying around, and a wooden sword that I'd made in shop class that had been painted silver. It was one of them swashbuckling pirate kind of swords, long and curved. So one of them, I'm not sure which, wrapped that green blanket around himself and held that deer antler out over his head, and they went running into the den, swinging that sword, going, "I'm Bigfoot, and I'm gonna get you!" Roger jumped up like he had been scalded with a pot of hot oil, and he ran down the hall of our house back to my brother's bedroom and shut the door and locked it. Now, any normal, rational person would have said, "We got him good, boys," but no, my brother and his cronies had to keep pushing. So they ran down the hallway after Roger, sword, blanket, deer antler, screaming, "I'm Bigfoot and I'm gonna get you!" I guess Roger hadn't seen many stories about Bigfoot. I guess he actually thought Bigfoot was green and had an antler sticking out of his head and carried a sword, but that goes without saying. But he was on the other side of the door, scared to death. And he did the only thing that his rational mind could think of to do, with Bigfoot being on the other side of the door hollering, "I'm going to get you." He jumped out the window. Now, hang on a second before you start asking questions. No, he did not raise the window. He jumped through the window, screen, glass, and all. He cut himself up pretty good. Not to mention that it was a 13-foot drop from the window to the ground. But that didn't deter old Roger. He hit the ground running, bleeding, barefoot, black, running across the backyards of people that were white and just afraid of him as he was of them. So he went to the neighbor's back door and started beating, bleeding, screaming, "Bigfoot's after me! Bigfoot's after me!" They didn't open the door. They probably hid behind the couch and started praying, but I don't know. So he, being undeterred and scared out of his mind, went running down the neighbor's backyard to the other neighbor down the street and started beating on their back door. There we go again. Teenage boy, black, scared, bleeding, screaming, "Bigfoot's after me," in an all-white neighborhood at 9:30 at night. Fortunately for him, that particular neighbor was a nurse, and she let him in, and she calmed him down, and she bandaged him up. It was about that time that me and Jimmy got back home with the pizza, and we we looked around, and man, it looked like a war zone. There was glass broken, blood everywhere, storm window screen laying in the yard, Rodney's shoes in the den. And I said, "What happened?" And my brother started in to tell me the story, and as soon as he got to the Bigfoot part, me and Jimmy looked at each other and went running out the house. And we started following the blood trail, and we figured out where he'd gone. And we got down to the neighbor's house. Roger was still in there, still mumbling, still crying, "Bigfoot's after me, Bigfoot's after me, Bigfoot's after me." And my neighbor just looked at me and shook her head. "What are you going to do?" I don't know if he ever got a good night's sleep after that. Probably not.